Hey guys, how's it going? Let's take a deep dive into how to get started with Xcode so you can build that app that you really want to dive into. Let's go deep. Now, most of iOS development is done using Xcode on a Mac. There are some other ways of doing iOS development outside the Apple ecosystem, but the core of what the industry calls native iOS apps is done using Xcode. Let's have a look at the main features of this IDE. First of all, let's see how we can start a brand new project. We can do Shift, Command, N to bring the new project menu. Then we can start with the single view app. We may dive into the other options on this screen in later videos. Let me know in the comments below if you think that would be helpful. Let's click next. Now we have the project properties. So give your app a name, choose a team if you have one. It can be a personal team or it can be an organization. You have your name and your organization identifier. Usually this would be a reverse domain name, as domain names are unique. So these options are important when you want to distribute your app. Choose the language, Swift or Objective-C. Now we're going to choose Swift, but please do not disregard Objective-C. There are still a lot of companies that use it. There are a lot of libraries that are purely built using this language. So this is a great skill to have under your belt. In this channel, I try to use Objective-C and Swift at the same time whenever possible. User interface, there's two options today, Swift UI and Storyboard. Swift UI was released somewhat recently. Storyboards is a visual way to build your user interfaces. However, you can use the library UI kit and just develop your interfaces purely using code. So keep in mind that some companies will require you to build your interfaces using code. So you may want to practice those skills later on. Core data and unit testing will be subjects for other videos. So please don't forget to subscribe to get the latest news on the channel. Next, save it somewhere in your computer. If you want, you can add a Git repository on your Xcode project, but Git will be covered in another tutorial as well. Now you have general settings of your new app project. On the left, we have the navigator area where you can see the file navigator and other tabs. Here you can see the results of your search, for example. You can see your issues at build time and runtime, your debug session, the latest events. You can see your testing. So this navigation pane here will allow you to look at a lot of these things. Remember that in each of these panes, you always have a filter option here where you can filter whatever result you have. On the middle area, you have the editor area where you can edit the code and the UIs. This would be a code file. This would be a UI file. On the right, you have the inspector area, which varies according to where you are inside your project. You may see coding help, you may see the settings for your storyboards. If you are on a coding file, you may be able to see some help. For example, you can see the coding help by pressing the class you're taking, the function you're using, and so on. You can have identity names and where the file is saved. You can see latest changes. You can see quick help. On a UI file, you can see several options for your UI elements, such as the size inspector or the attributes inspector or the connections when you want to move between your different screens, or when you want to click on an element on the screen and jump into the code and run some function perhaps. That will all be taken care by this right hand menu. On the top, we have the toolbar, which has some very important buttons, like the button to run your app, stop running, the phone or simulator where you're going to run your app, some information like if the code is being built, the time and date, if there are any issues or errors on your code, it will also come up in this bar. Then on the right, we have some navigation buttons. For example, you can hide or you can show the navigation bar. You can hide or you can show the attributes inspector or even the debug area. On the bottom, you have the debugging area and the console. So whenever there's output from your app, whenever you are running or when you're debugging, this will be the area where you will access all your information. And remember, you always have filtering options in each one of these panes. So that will be all for today. On the next part, we're going to go into settings and menus of Xcode. We're going to dive a bit more in a lot of these options, which will be an essential part for your introduction. There's a lot to cover in the next few videos, so please stay connected. Don't forget to subscribe, click that bell button, and I'll see you on the next video.